When you spend $399 on the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G, what kind of value are you getting for your money? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. What's going on, guys? Kalipas Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G and going over what kind of value it provides for your money. Before we go any further, I do wanna remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. But now, let's get into the video. So this phone has a 6.6 inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 266, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen to body ratio of 84.3%. So this is a pretty good quality display, not quite the 1080p display that we see in the Samsung Galaxy A52 and the A52 5G, but it still is a really nice looking display. I have the brightness at 100% right now, and the colors look really nice thanks to the Super AMOLED display, and the bezels overall are really thin, giving the phone a nice modern look. At 6.6 inches, the display isn't the biggest one out there, but it's definitely one of them. And even though the display is larger, the phone itself is pretty thin, making it comfortable to hold in your hand and carry in your pocket. Having a large display is going to be good for content consumption, like streaming videos, playing a game, viewing photos, even reading, because everything, of course, is going to show up a lot larger, giving you an overall better experience. For the front-facing camera, we do have a water drop notch, which I'm not a huge fan of, but this water drop notch is actually a lot cleaner looking than a lot of others that I've seen, so I don't really mind it too much. It's not quite as clean as the hole punch design found on the A52 and the A52 5G and even the A72, but it still does look pretty nice. As far as the quality goes, this camera is 20 megapixels, so you can expect to get some really good selfies with it. The phone has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with micro SD card expansion, so that's about average. Pretty much every phone in this price range is gonna have the same amount of storage, but that's not really surprising because anything higher than this is probably gonna be found in a flagship phone rather than a mid-range phone like this. But that being said, for the average user, this is gonna be even more storage than you're ever gonna need. And even if you're a power user with lots of apps and high quality videos and that sort of thing, this is still gonna be a good amount of storage for you. And remember, if most of the space you're taking up is from photos and videos, you can always use the micro SD card to expand the space even more if you need to. This phone doesn't have wireless charging, which is not too much of a surprise, being that that's usually only found in flagship phones, which honestly, I don't know why. I feel like wireless charging is such a simple feature, and if they can put NFC in phones that aren't flagship phones, then they should be able to put wireless charging in some of them too, but that's unfortunately just how it is these days. So the fact that this phone doesn't have wireless charging, although it is still disappointing, is nothing too surprising. But that being said, this phone does have a really nice in-display fingerprint scanner, as well as face unlock. We're gonna go ahead and give the fingerprint scanner a try and see how well it works. As you can see, this looks really nice. And there we go, one more time. And there you have it. Really fast and responsive, along with a nice modern look. No issues here. For our rear camera setup, now this is where things get a little interesting. This specific phone in my hand is the international variant. The US model actually has one less camera than this. I'm not quite sure which one it is because I actually haven't had the US model myself, but I'm guessing it's the ultra wide camera for whatever reason. If they're gonna take a camera away, it's almost always the ultra wide camera. But if you have the US model, I am curious, which camera do you not have? Let me know in the comments because I actually do want to know. But that being said, for this specific phone in my hand, the international variant, we got a 48 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera. So this is a real nice setup. Even if one of the cameras is missing, it would still be a nice setup. So if you have the US model or are planning to get it, the same principle applies. The camera setup is still gonna be really nice and it's gonna take real high quality pictures. So if you are into that kind of thing, if you do want to take a bunch of nice pictures to keep, maybe for social media or something else, this phone is going to be a good option. For video, we got the same kind of thing. This phone can shoot 4K videos in the rear camera and up to 1080p in the front. And these videos are going to be really good quality, and the microphone is going to sound pretty good as well. So if you do want to shoot some nice videos that you are going to be keeping and using for something, again, this phone will be a good option. Internally, this phone is getting 6 GB of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 750 5G processor. This is the same processor as the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G, I think, and it is a really good processor. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on the phone, and it came back with a single core score of 658 and a multi-core score of 2009. So these are some real impressive numbers. This phone is going to be able to handle a lot more high-end tasks than most mid-range phones. Even the 5G ones still aren't always this high. So if you're doing things like high-end gaming or video editing with slightly larger files, then this phone is going to be a good option for that. In addition to that, if you're just using your phone for basic activities like browsing the web and going on social media, having this type of processing power is still going to help because it's going to give you a much faster and smoother experience. In addition to having a nice processor, this phone has a really powerful battery as well. At 5,000 milliamp hours, this phone's battery is almost double the size of the iPhone 12's battery at just over 2,800 milliamp hours. And the iPhone 12 is a high-end flagship phone, so for this phone's price range, the battery is a great value. In addition to having a large battery, that's going to allow the phone to last a lot longer down the road. This phone also supports 15-watt fast charging, so if you ever do have to charge your phone during the day and you don't have a lot of time to wait for it to charge up, fast charging is going to help a lot. Another nice feature I like about this phone is that it has NFC. NFC is the technology behind Google Pay, Samsung Pay, all those contactless mobile payment services that have been getting really popular these days. There are a lot of phones, believe it or not, in this price range that don't have NFC. Like for example, the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G. That phone doesn't have NFC and it's almost the exact same price as this one. So having NFC gives you a lot more value out of the phone. So in conclusion, what kind of value does the Samsung Galaxy A42 5G provide for the money? I think this phone actually provides a lot of value, especially compared to other 5G phones in the same price range. While only being 720p, the display is really nice. I would say it's nicer than the average. For example, the Samsung Galaxy A32 5G only has a TFT display and not a Super AMOLED. In the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G, that phone has an LCD display, actually IPS LCD, those are two different things. But still, it's not as good as a Super AMOLED. And even though the Moto G Stylus 5G has a 1080p display, versus the 720p display on this phone, I still do like the display of this phone a little bit better. And aside from the display, this phone has a really powerful processor that is a lot more powerful than most other 5G phones in the same price range. Combined with the nice camera, the ability to shoot 4K videos, a super large battery that supports fast charging, and NFC technology, this phone has a ton of nice features that for the money provide you with a lot of value in 2021. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next video.